So before this video starts, I just want to preface this is not a tutorial. This is pretty much just my own workflow on how I create an animation. Usually I start off with a storyboard. Storyboard doesn't have to look good. It can be written with dog shit as long as it looks fine to you and you can understand it. You can see that bottom left. It's supposed to be a dog, not a dog. Looks very... I'm not good at drawing. I much prefer animation. Here is the thumbnail. I usually have it just a very simple... Just a simple jot down on a post-it note of what the thumbnail idea is going to be. After that, I go and get my audio. That's me cooking it up in the lab. And then I go and get my visual reference, which is just me with a phone, just recording myself. It's not very difficult to get reference animation. I had already animated 2 scenes beforehand. This is the first scene. I'll show you the second scene. The first scene, the reason why it looks like this is because it is rendered in Workbench, which is specifically to take out all the lighting, all the fluff, and only give you the animation itself, so that way you can figure out whether your animation looks good. Here is the second scene. Dog looks fine, looks good. And this is one of the true engines, the render engines that Blender has, which is called Eevee. Now Eevee is nice. I like to work with Eevee a lot. Problem is, dog does not look nice. That dog looks like dog shit. Actual dog shit. Reason for that is I think Eevee just doesn't like to render out this specific dog. I know it can render out fur, but it just doesn't like this dog for some reason. So I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna go into cycles. I go off into cycles, and what do I get? A nice looking dog. Reason for that is because cycles uses a lot more lighting and it uses a lot more just fucking nodes and pads or whatever. I don't know the technical version, but it just looks better. That's all you gotta know. It just looks better. Problem with it, took 2 hours to render that scene. So I kind of had to do a lot of rendering at night, and the nights have been hot, so I've been pretty hot in my room. After this, I go off and block it out. I like to do thumbnails, which is pretty much just starting frame 0 at a sitting position to frame 100 at a standing position like this. And then the in-betweens, I usually just, go in between, polish it up, what comes in the middle of standing. So after that, I move on to the face. And I just pretty much copy that reference onto this face, and that's going to be the starting face, and it's going to blend into, the little bit more, the talking face. And with talking, what I like to do is just copy my own face onto the reference, onto the character, excuse me. So my own face onto the character. And what I do is I move the jaw up and down, matching my face, and then I move the lips sideways and I guess closed to my face, and then I move the lips up and down. Then I go off onto the eyes. The eyes, I like to think of the eyebrows as a part of the eyelids, so that way it just looks a little bit more exaggerated. It gives you a little bit more feel. And that's pretty much how your eyebrows are in real life. That's just the way I like to think about eyebrows. Just like they're a part of your eyelids. After that, I just kind of polish it up and just kind of go back and forth on moving little things and hairs and all that shit. Then I go off and get the eye movements, the eye darts, and the way I like to think of the eye darts is just pretty much triangles, triangle path. I come back to the mouth, because it needs a little bit more work. I come back to the body because I feel like it feels too stiff for me. So I decided, okay, I just need to move the shoulders a little bit. And I decide to start animating the shoulders, and it looks a little bit more alive because that is kind of how you talk when you talk, I guess. Pretty good to get more expression out of it. As you can see here, that guy looks a lot more serious with shoulders moving than with stiff shoulders. I go on to the dog. Dog is the same thing as a human. I just want to block out the body, go to the face. I want to start with the eyebrows here just to get like a tone of how I want, just to get a tone, just to get a feel when I start moving the mouth and seeing the mouth in motion. The ears, I like the ears a lot because they are also an extension to the eyebrows. Like the eyebrows are an extension to the eyelids, and the ears are an extension to the eyebrows. That's the way I thought of it when I was animating the dog, and when I was looking up reference for dogs. I found that funny reference of the dog looking worried. I thought that was funny. So that was the animation that I had there. Next up, I move on to the hands. Not very difficult. I'm not trying to do anything special here. I'm trying to do like anything special, just trying to make it look natural, I guess you could say, because the tone of the video is supposed to be super serious. That's the way I'm thinking about it, a little bit more serious, for a joke of a peanut butter and a dog, the combination of the two. So the add-on that I used for this peanut butter scene was Grab It, and Grab It just helps you grab things with your character. It's pretty easy to use. Like once you just, I don't know, do like a practice animation with grab it, you kind of understand how it works for the future animations that you want to do. That's usually how I like to test out add-ons. I just like create a simple block and then use the animation with that block. I modeled the schizo pills off of the dream video because I thought those were so funny, the fucking normal pills. So here I have the tongue. Now the problem with the tongue is that it doesn't look good when I move it around. I think it's just the way the weight maps are put in, but I was trying to figure it out. I just couldn't, so I was kind of fucked with the tongue. So I just decided, okay, I'll only move the entirety of the tongue and not pieces of the tongue. And here I have the next scene. I'm doing the same thing as I did with the other scene, except this scene is a little bit more quicker because I'm not doing a lot in this scene. I'm literally only going frame 100 to frame, 200, and not a lot in between. So this scene didn't take as much time. As far as the render goes, it did take a lot of time. Again, I'm just doing body, face, ears, mouth, all that stuff, all that junk. I added a noise modifier to the head, which pretty much just made the head shake a fuck ton, because I was not animating the head shaking every 2 frames. I'm not going to do that shit. I did the same thing with the eyes after I added, the eye dart path movement, just so I could just get a little bit more extra, just terrified feeling of the dog that it was about to be touched. The mouth movement I enjoyed from this dog. I thought it was pretty cool the way the lips also moved with the jaw. I thought that was very interesting. I added the iris expanding and de-expanding just to make the dog look more terrified. Continued on, and here's the final animation for it. I think it looks pretty good. And here we have the house and how I modeled it. I like to have the reference of houses in the way of the Family Guy house. It may not look like it, it definitely doesn't. I just like to do that just because it's a pretty good stepping stool of how to make a house, the inside of a house I should say. Right now I'm just adding colors to everything. Colors aren't too difficult. I don't like this part of the project is usually adding colors. Colors I don't enjoy as much as animating, just because I feel like it just takes too long. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. It doesn't take too long. I just find it boring. So I also have the picture frames. The picture frames, I had a Kanye, and then I also had Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria cover. That Kanye picture is from his that concert with beautiful butt naked big titty women. And then I also have like 2 people holding a jug of mayo. Other people are asking for it, for some mayo. I thought that picture was weird, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna add that. You don't see it in the background, but you could see it here, which is something I enjoy. Here I just added the dog onto the phone, and I wanted to make the dog shine onto the character's face, but it wasn't working right, so I decided, okay, well, I'll just add a lamp to it instead. And it looks good. It looks good the way I see it. I just made it blue. I fixed up the eyes because it didn't look like it was looking at the phone itself. It was looking somewhere else, I don't know where. I added a few lights in the background just so I can get a feel of how I wanted the lighting setup to be. I'm doing this in Eevee. It's a little bit faster that way. That way I don't have to do it in cycles where I have to wait a few minutes and come back in. I added a rim light here just so I can make my character pop. I also added a depth of field to make my character pop again. Just making the character look good. I wanted to mess around with the lights a little bit more because I wanted a more serious feel. Like this feels a little bit too warm, so I wanted it to be a little bit colder. I still fucked around with the rim light just so I can make it look a little bit nicer. I changed up the background, I made it darker. Here is the big nut and the schizo pills. If you want to see that, you can read that up top. See what I added for the schizo pills. Then you can just enjoy what you're viewing here, which is pretty much just me working on the background light of the big nut and schizo pills. I'm just trying to make it a little bit darker, make it a little bit more scary, more gloomy, I guess you could say, more serious. For this, when it's rendered out, the dog looks kind of weird. It looks like it's a card-carrying member. I'm not gonna lie, but it's fine. As long as I can understand the lighting and gets me to where I want to be. Either way, the fur is gonna be added later on, so it doesn't really matter. Whether or not the dog looks weird or not, it just is what it is. After that, I just tested out, see how it looks like in cycles. Definitely too warm, so I took out a few of the lights, different lights, took out a few lights. I also made one of the lights a little bit more blue, just to add more blue into the color. As you can see, this table looks way too fucking shiny, so I decided, okay, I need to turn down the roughness. And it looks better. After that, I go and export all the renders out, put them into a video editor. I fix up the colors a little bit. I edit in the audio and shit, like footstep sounds, and I just send it off. That's it. If you like this video, subscribe and like. I did enjoy making this video because I do like the yapping a lot. So I think I'm gonna continue on making these. We'll see. But yeah, goodbye.